Good day, internet people!
Good day!
Good day! Phil here, I've got a deck profile for you. It's my Kagero deck, yay! It's not Nouvelle Vague, and it's not Doty, and it hasn't even got any break rides in it. And you'll see why. What I will say is this deck's done me fairly well. I've won quite a few tournaments with it now. I've generally ranked pretty highly with it, unless I've been completely grade locked.
And it's quite the troll.
It's quite the troll. And I'll show you why, and I'll show you what this deck does. It's not a meta deck. Putting it out there, not a meta deck. It's a cheaper deck. Ooh, look, there's an Alcon thing. Ooh, Alcon. Yeah, so anyway, starter is this chappy here, Dragon Knight Sad Egg, which is what I call him. He's actually a really good starter, especially now you can't particularly use Convo as a starter. This guy basically, when you retire one of your opponent's units, you put this guy to the soul and they have to choose another one. Sets up some lovely little combos. So obviously if you use a Gatling Claw to snipe a grade 0, then you've got yourself, and they've probably only got grade 2s in front. You're like, well, you're losing one of those grade 2s. You haven't had to waste 2 counter blast with Berserk Dragon to do the same effect. So, that's pretty cool. You can get some nice trolls with that. And people don't really expect it. I've generally found that people are like, what? When you do that. You explain what it does, and they're just like, okay, I didn't know about that. So he's from the Extra Booster there, I believe, isn't he? Was he from Extra Booster? No, he's BT14, so that's what he is. Goes without saying, 4 heal triggers. I run Dragon Dancer Barbara for the main reason it's cute and I like the Dragon Dancer stuff. And I would love it if there was a Dragon Dancer deck, like a full-on proper Dragon Dancer build. That would be awesome. Draw triggers. Yes, I run 6 draw triggers, not 4. So you've got 4 Gatling Claw Dragon. Quite a key card to the deck actually, because he's got this fantastic skill of counterblast 1, put him in soul, retire one of your opponent's grade 0s. On its own, you think, well, great, kills a starter. But then you link it with your starter of your own to kill something stronger. Plus, you use him with the grade 3 lineup to get some really nice effects going. Plus, you're retiring stuff off the field, which is always powerful. And I run these 2 as well. This is put it in the soul to give something else plus 3. Often it can be quite useful just to kind of give you a bit of extra soul for a certain other card. And he's also got the bonus effect that you can kind of then say Berserk Dragon or Bellicosity Dragon is hitting for 12 instead of 9 if you haven't got a boost for them, which can be pretty useful. And obviously the more draws, the less likely you are to have trouble with your hand. So by the process of elimination, 6 crit, plain old crit, you use their effect once and then you use them as shield, and that's about all they're for. To be honest, crit triggers, I think you could get away without them with this build, because as you'll see, it generates crit quite nicely on its own. Grade 1 lineup, 2 Dragon Monk Gojo, the standard kind of not Maiden of Libra, what's her name? Lake Maiden Lien type card. You just tap to do a drop and draw. Very nice little skill, especially if you've had the first turn. Your opening hand's not ideal, but you've got this guy. You ride, call your starter back, tap, drop, draw. Get yourself something better for the next turn, probably. In all reality, you'll actually draw a heal trigger. But, the theory is sound. I run 3 8k Embodiment of Armor Bar because you just love Bar. You can't go wrong with him. Sticking behind anything and you've got numbers basically. Only 3 because I've got a bit of a varied grade 1 lineup. Not a lot to say because he's been around since, well, 2.5 years ago, something like that. 3 of Demonic Dragon Mage Kimnara. Basically, put him into the soul, counterblast 1, pop a grade 1 on your opponent's side. Not a grade 1 or less, specifically a grade 1, but that's not really a big deal. Kills a booster, and again, links in with combos, gets your starter, you killing something a bit more powerful, and it recharges your soul. And here's one of the main reasons I'm charging soul. 2 Dragonic Gaias. He's a 6k, grade 1. He's got this nice little ruling where if he's behind a unit, whether it's Vanguard or not, instead of, when you attack with that unit, instead of using him as a boost, you can tap him as well and Soul Blast 2, and instead of a boost, that unit gets a crit, which is fantastic. You stick it behind a grade 3 Vanguard and you just basically, you can go for like 11 and a crit for nothing. It's just so amazing. And it's usually worth sacrificing the little bit of power for the crit, because it makes your opponent think, I have to guard this. They don't want to take the chance that you're going to pull another crit or another crit and then end up kind of totaling them off the board in turn 3 or something. So yeah, I only run it at 2, but that generally does tend to turn up, especially with all the draw triggers. And finally, we run 4 Dragon Dancer Maria, the really, really nice perf from the extra booster. I really love that. It's my favourite Kagero perf. And yeah, I'll be running that one for as long as practical until I maybe run a Perdition deck, and then I'll have to give it up. Although Perdition's get a nice one, I don't know. Grade 2s! 3 Bellicosity Dragon, easy run flipper for your counterblast, because you've got your Chimnaras, you've got your Gatling Claws, you've got your other stuff. Counterblasting a lot. This guy, pretty essential to let him hit at least once. It's great if you can ride him turn 2, assuming certain other things don't happen, because your opponent generally isn't going to guard that with a boost on your second turn of attacking, or your first. So, you know, pretty useful. Nice skill. Gets you your counterblast back. And I run, as always, well, for me it's as always, 4 Berserk Dragon, so that's where your unflips come in very useful. He's a 9k grade 2, so at worst he's swinging for a decent number. And you can't really go too far wrong with him. Yeah, the Counterblast 2, you could argue, is a little expensive, but then, as you'll see, my grade 3 lineup is quite cheap on the Counterblasts, and it's always nice to retire an opponent's unit when you can. I've got 2 of these classic Chain Attack Sutherland. You remember this guy from BTO2? Yeah, you do. He's an 8k grade 2, gets +3 every time in the main phase, specifically, you retire one of your opponent's units. So again, you've kind of used a Chimnara +3, start a skill into the soul, pop something else. He's on +6 already, he's swinging on his own for 14. So you're thinking 14, if you happen to have those, maybe you've got a bar behind each one. If you're super lucky, you've got 22. That's pretty nice. Don't rely on him too much, which is why I only run 2. But when he does happen, he's very nice. And the grade 2 lineup is topped off with 2 Flame Edge Dragon, believe it or not. No one uses this. I wonder why, because no one else uses Soul, right? So it's a 9k grade 2 from the Vanguard or Rearguard. When he hits, not just a Vanguard, just when he hits, Soul Charge 1. Pretty nice if you're planning on doing the Gaius thing. If you're early game and your opponent's trying to hold you off Limit Break, you're like, fine, I don't need Limit Break. Attack with that, Soul Charge, Gaius' skill, Vanguard swinging 11 and a crit. Fine, whatevs. So that's what that's for, really. Again, just 2. And now onto the grade 3 lineup. The key one early game is Cruel Dragon. Not for his ability specifically, well, he's not a Limit Break, obviously, but his other little activated one from the hand, if you can see that. You reveal the card, choose your grade 2 or greater Kagero Vanguard. Generally, you'll only do it on grade 2, because if you did it on grade 3, that'd be a bit daft. And you tap it, and during the main phase of that turn, if your opponent's rearguard is put into the drop zone, ride this card as stand, choose your Vanguard, and he gets -3k until the end of turn. So in an ideal world, you'll ride to a grade 2, you'll have this guy in hand, you're like, there's your grade 2. So you reveal this chap, and you're like, okay, yep, that's tapped. Oh, you've got a starter on the field, and I've got a Gatling Claw. So here's Gatling Claw, Counterblast 1, Gatling Claw goes in the soul, boom, there. And if you've gone first, it could be your first turn of attacking in the entire game, and you're swinging for, with a crit. Not with a crit. What am I talking about? Twin Drive. You got your Twin Drive straight off the bat, and if you've got a bar behind, you're swinging for numbers, and no one's going to guard that. And if you're lucky, you'll get a crit. If you're not lucky, you won't. His other skill It's pretty useful. It's a limit break skill. It's not super broken, but when you attack, counterblast 1, soul blast 1, so again another one where you use the soul, to retire one of your opponent's grade 2 or less rear guards. So you can pop a starter, pop a grade 1, pop a grade 2, whatever you want. It's pretty nice, quite reliable, and if you're going on the retiring side of the deck, you're using your Tumlbr, you're using your starter, whatever, you're doing a lot of field thinning on their side, and thankfully this guy doesn't thin your own field, whereas obviously Tumlbr and Gatling Claw, you play them down and they're gone. So there's a bit of sacrifice involved there. And then once limit breaks hit, I want to ride this guy, Blast Bug Dragon. He's got an incredible skill, well, 2 incredible skills. The first one I will go on to is not the limit break, it's his continuous ability that's always activated. It says, during your turn, if this unit's critical is 2 or more, this unit gets plus 5,000. So you stick your Dragonic Gaius behind. On the turn you ride to grade 3 if he's been ridden. You do that, you Gaius, you say, oh okay, I'll Soul Blast 2. 16 with a crit. And that can be your first turn of, well not first, but second or third turn of attacking. You know, you're not on limit break, let's just put it that way. And you're swinging for 16 and a crit. Plus any, well you're not getting the boost, you know what I mean. But you can also obviously put your Gaius behind a rear guard. He won't get the extra power on the rear guard, but you can still go 11 and a crit. Vanguard swings. There's a Gaius behind that one, 11 and a crit. It's got shenanigans. And then his limit break skill is counterblast 1 and discard a Kagero from your hand. So again, you need those draw triggers. When you do, when you attack a Vanguard, you do that, and he gets plus 5 and a crit. Plus the plus 5 from that. So you basically counterblast 1, discard something from hand, 21 and a crit. Oh, what's that? Gaius is behind. Soul Blast 2, 21 and 2 extra crit. Deal with that. So it's, yeah, like I say, it's not a super mega broken deck. It's not going to like give Nouvelle Vague and what have you too many headaches. But it puts the pressure on nicely, and it's consistent because it's a counterblast of 1 and a drop of 1. You can do this every turn that you're alive, basically. Especially if you've got bellicosity around and you run flipping occasionally. Yeah, I've been very happy with this deck. It's done me very nicely indeed. Whether there's anything in set 15 that'll help this deck or not, I haven't particularly paid much attention yet, because I don't nerd up as much as I should, perhaps. And there's the deck. So I'd be interested to know what you think, what you'd perhaps change to make it a bit more consistent on retiring or critting. What I like about it is the fact it lets me do either. If my opponent's got a massive hand, I'm like, fine, I'll just retire stuff and make you drop that hand for calling stuff again. If they've got a small hand, I'll push the game with the crit, so I'll be like, that's got a crit, that's got a crit, that's got a crit, deal with it. And it tends to work quite well. Whether it makes me a douchebag, I don't know, and I don't care, because I like it. So yeah, thanks for watching, see you in the next video. Goodbye, internet people!